Hola, mi gente. It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I hope you all are well today. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I am a strength and conditioning coach, exercise physiologist, sports nutritionist, holistic, by the way, medical cannabis science consultant, and I am a body science nerd. So what that means, I study the body. Good afternoon. I study the body. I study optimal function of the body from the outside in to the inside out, bringing the body into homeostasis. That's my life's work. Research, what I do as a practitioner, helping people get their body back into homeostasis, back into balance, so you can achieve optimal health and performance, right? And so today I want to talk about the skin, okay? I did a video many years ago talking about tips for beautiful skin, right? It was 2 series. My YouTube page got deleted. I lost like half the video. And I knew a lot back then, but I know a lot more now. So I'm doing an updated version of that. And for one, with my background, I told you using exercise science and everything, but I'm also huge into microbiomes, immune system, infectious organisms. That's something I've been really into since the 90s. And so when you talk about immune system and immunity, many people don't know that our skin is not just our largest organ, but our skin is our first line of defense against infectious organisms, because our skin protects what comes in and out of our body, right? And so our skin is a huge part of our immune system, and then our gut, okay? A lot of people may have heard that our immune system is in our gut. So it's really important to maintain a healthy microbiome on the skin and in the gut. Now, I have several videos I've done over the years talking about microbiomes. That is everything, okay? I've also been learning about that since the 90s, okay, when I was in high school. And through college. And so now you hear a lot of people talking about microbiomes, but I've been knowing about that and reading and researching about it for a long time, okay? So the microbiome is the bacteria, the world of bacteria we have in our gut, have in our skin, have in the vaginal canal, okay? We have an oral microbiome, a vaginal microbiome, a skin microbiome, and a gut microbiome, okay? There's bacteria all over everything. And so there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. I'm not going to get super into that because I have videos where I speak about that. But we need a lot of the good bacteria because that's our first line of defense against infectious organisms. So we want to protect the microbiome in our skin and in our gut. And when people have skin issues, like people have weird bumps, acne, eczema, psoriasis, all of that is a sign of a gut imbalance, okay? Our skin is a reflection of our gut health. So if somebody's having rashes and bumps and acne and irritation, the gut is out of whack, okay? And a lot of times, sugar is to blame, if not other things. Sometimes people have taken several courses of antibiotics. Just taking one course of antibiotics, just one, severely destroys your microbiome. Just one course. And many people have taken several courses of antibiotics. They might have taken antibiotics a few times over the past 10 years. That not only destroys your immune system, but it makes you more susceptible for infections. And so if we know this to be the case, then, because I'm a critical thinker, right? I don't just jump on bandwagons. But if this is known to be the case, it's well recognized in science that using artificial antibacterial agents, because there are natural ones like what's in garlic and oregano and cannabinoids, coconut oil, aloe, all those are natural, very potent natural antibacterial agents and antiviral agents, right? So the natural ones we can't develop resistance to, okay? When you use artificial antibiotics and antibacterial agents, it kills all of the bacteria, and the bad bacteria mutate, and that's how we get super strains. So people hear about strains of STDs that are no longer cured by antibiotics, and that's why, okay? And again, like I said, I've done videos about that. So your skin health has to do with what's going on inside of you, okay? Inside your gut, and also what you're putting on topically, right? But it starts with the inside. And so sugar, which fruits and vegetables are sugar, okay? They're carbohydrates. Starches, rice, potatoes, beans, beans have some protein, but all that stuff is like mostly just carbohydrates and sugar. And sugar feeds the bad bacteria, okay? So people eating muffins for breakfast and pancakes and that stuff is no bueno, okay? And people who are addicted to sugar, I did a video about sugar addiction years ago. People who are addicted to sugar can never just stop the addiction with willpower. Because sugar feeds the bad bacteria. The bad bacteria and the good bacteria can't survive in the same environment. The bad bacteria takes over. You're feeding it with sugar, and the bad bacteria gets more aggressive. And the bad bacteria secretes hormones and substances that take over your brain and make you crave sugar. It's like you have no control over it. You could be trying your best, and your cravings will be crazy. And it's because the bad bacteria in your gut is making you crave it. Sugar feeds the bad bacteria. Sugar feeds cancer cells. Sugar makes you diabetic and have Alzheimer's and insulin resistant, which we don't want. Okay, I'm gonna do a video on insulin resistance soon. But sugar is just no bueno, right? And so I love to talk about fats. If you've been following me for a while, you know I love to talk about fats. The same fats that we cook with are good for our skin. Okay, so, so let me go back. Okay, first of all, the sugar, okay? If you're having a lot of skin issues, you really want to cut that out. Now, one of the ways that you can get over sugar cravings, one is the microbiome, the consuming good bacteria. But another one is eating more fat and protein, okay? Because fat and protein is satiating. So when you consume something that's high in fat and protein, cheese, eggs, meat, milk, you know what I'm saying? Things that are high in, fat and protein is more satiating than sitting around eating carbohydrates. But if you are going to eat some carbohydrates, like some fruit, for example, I don't just sit around and eat fruit. The only time I just eat fruit is if I'm someplace and it's really hot, like when it's really, really hot, like I'm in Florida or I'm in New York in the summertime and I'm burning up. I will eat some fruit salad while I'm walking around. I don't eat fruit in the winter unless it's in my shakes. I make raw milk shakes where I put banana, frozen fruit, raw milk, Bulgarian or Greek yogurt, or kefir, a couple of egg yolks. And so I put fruit in my shakes or fruit in my ice cream. I might have some strawberry ice cream, banana ice cream, right? But that fruit is accompanied by fat and protein. So when you consume carbohydrates with fat and protein, it prevents your blood sugar levels from spiking so quickly, okay? Your blood sugar levels spiking too quickly is how people become diabetic and have a whole bunch of problems, okay? And I'll do a video on controlling blood sugar and insulin dependence. That's not what this video is about, but it relates to the skin. So consuming more fat and protein helps you be more satiated, makes you crave sugar less, okay? You're craving a donut, eat some quality vanilla ice cream or something, okay? You get your little bit of sweetness, or I have some cheesecake in my fridge. I mean, I don't crave muffins and cakes and cookies and stuff. But if I eat cheesecake, if I was craving a piece of a muffin, which makes my stomach hurt when I eat stuff like that, but let's say I had a weak moment and I was craving that, and I eat some cheesecake, I won't want that anymore. And the cheesecake is healthier, because what is cheesecake? The cheesecake that I have is made from cream cheese, sour cream, egg yolks, and sugar. And so the sugar is the part that's not good. But because it's accompanied by sour cream, cream cheese, and egg yolks, that helps to counteract the sugar, which is totally different than just eating cake or pancakes or something, which pancakes can have eggs in it, but it's not, the amount of fat and protein in it does not compare. The amount of sugar and the amount of fat and protein is completely different than if I eat cheesecake, right? So the fat and protein helps, but also the fat is super important for your skin, okay? Like I'm obsessed with moisturizing my skin, okay? Moisturizing the skin is so important, whether it is winter, fall, summer, or spring, okay? Now, I want to say it doesn't matter about your ethnic background, but I'm going to admit I am not an expert on white people's skin. Some people try to say, some black people try to tell me, well, white people need to moisturize too, like we all need to moisturize. I'm like, yeah, they might need to moisturize, but I don't know if white skin needs as much moisture as black skin, because just like hair, right? Black girls, we moisturize our hair. I moisturize my scalp damn near every day, okay? I moisturize my scalp and my hair on a regular basis. White girls don't moisturize it. I don't know. I think black women are the only ones that moisturize our hair and our scalp. A lot of other cultures, I know white people don't do that, right? So I'm like, our skin is different. Maybe, I mean, our hair is different. Maybe our skin is different. And I did a little bit of research into that, because when people give you when people tell you how much sun you need to get vitamin D, when you hear this from the general public, oh, you need 20 minutes of sun to get vitamin D. Those recommendations are for pale skinned people with no melanin, right? If you have melanin, you need more time in the sun. So when they give those generic recommendations, it's not meant for melanated skin. And melanated skin needs different care. So in general, you have skin health. Okay, there's some general things that matter, but then there's some differences between melanated skin. Some of it has to do with how the melanin is how the melanin and the collagen is lined up, okay, and structured in the skin. Black skin, melanated skin tends to be thicker, okay, and so I'm not an expert on white skin, so a lot of what I'm saying has to do with melanated skin, okay? It might apply to them too, some things, give or take. But just in general, okay, the skin, we have a fat called arachidonic acid that is in our skin cells, especially in the epidermis. Arachidonic acid is the same fat that our endocannabinoids are made from, okay? So I have a video that I made a couple years ago titled, Did You Know That Our Endocannabinoids Come From Animal Fat? And if you don't know what endocannabinoids are, I'm not going to get super into that in this video, because this video will be 2 hours, and I'm trying not to make it that long because I do want to go out and get my evening sun. But what I'm trying to say, that arachidonic acid is an important omega-6 fatty acid that only occurs in animal foods, okay? In your eggs, in your steak and stuff, right? And our endocannabinoids are made from it, which are the cannabinoids our body makes on command. To me, they're also neurotransmitters and hormones. They could also be considered that, the endocannabinoids. And they help regulate everything in the body. They are made by arachidonic acid. But arachidonic acid is also critical for a strong gut, okay? So people who have skin issues and allergies a lot of times have leaky gut. Leaky gut, like the cell junctions that hold our gut cells together, they need to have tight junctions, okay? Like let's say these are skin cells. Let's say my hands are skin cells, and you got these tight junctions where nothing can leak through. Or you can have it's leaky where it's like this, where all kinds of stuff is leaking through. And that's how people end up with allergies and all these irritations, right? If you have issues with your skin, blemishes and bumps and things, it's telling you something's going on inside your body. So one thing you don't want to do is put more irritants on top of your skin, which is what people do, women, when they want to cover stuff up and they put makeup on. So you could have bad skin and you're putting makeup on to cover it up. But the makeup is just irritating it even more. It's just putting more poison in the situation. Like if you have pimples and bumps, your body is trying to eliminate poison out of your system. So now you put more poison. It could be stuff that even came from a dermatologist that's full of toxic chemicals. Putting more chemicals and poison on your skin that's irritating it, okay, instead of things that will soothe it. And it has to start from the inside. So with the gut, when it comes to gut healing, of course, you want to eat less sugar, but that happens when you consume more probiotics. You can consume coconut oil, more fats, butter for sure. Butter is one of the most important ones because of butyric acid. Butyric acid, which is in butter, also feeds the good bacteria and supports a healthy microbiome. So, and you want stuff that's high in arachidonic acid because that's what really heals your gut. You also want foods that's high in DHA and EPA, omega-3 fats, which are the omega-3 fats that are only in animals, okay? There's no... flaxseed oil has a plant-based omega-3. It's not the same as DHA and EPA, which is in cold water fish and the meat of land animals that are getting sun. Okay, but cold water fish is an excellent source. Sometimes pasture egg yolks. So the DHA and EPA also play a role, and they help to balance the ceramide production. Ceramides are like like when you have bricks and you have whatever that is, plaster. I don't know, not plaster. I don't know what they put in between the bricks to make them stick. That's what the ceramides are, like the glue. Okay, and there's a lot of ceramides in animal fats. So this is the reason why when I put on my skin, I make a mixture of fats. I don't just use one fat, and I definitely don't just use a plant fat. I mix plant and animal fats because animal fats have cholesterol, okay? Cholesterol is super important for our skin health, okay? The ceramides, they have vitamin A and D, okay? We have vitamin A and D receptors on our skin. And vitamin D helps to, cement. Vitamin D helps to stop proliferation of skin cells. So if somebody has like a weird skin issue where you have rashes and things, bumps and things growing out of control, vitamin D helps with that. And so vitamin D in your diet helps, but so does using fats topically that have it. So ghee, like I use ghee on my skin. Ghee is used by women in Ethiopia, used by women in India, in the hair and the skin. Very high in butyric acid, very high in vitamins A and D. The tallow and the lard, high in arachidonic acid, okay? And even when you think about, and they also have vitamin A and D, and cholesterol, okay? The ghee, lard, tallow, they all have cholesterol. Then lanolin is very high in cholesterol, and very high in cholesterol and vitamins A and D, okay? And ceramides and stuff like that. So to me, the animal fats are really important. And each fat that I choose in the skin mixtures that I make, I choose for a reason. So I love to work with stuff like shea butter and cocoa butter and lanolin. Castor oil is super important. I have a video about castor oil. And so I'm really into the chemistry of fats. And every single fat has different chemistry, different products. I mean, different chemistry, different, benefits. And so I'm a nerd about that. And so, but fats are super important for your skin health. The fats that you're consuming and the fats that you put on your skin. Even with sunburn, it's known that people who consume more seed oils, which you want to avoid like crazy, you do not want to put seed oils on your skin, and you do not want to ingest them. And what are the seed oils? Canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil, soybean oil. All those things are rancid poison, okay? That will lead you to an early death, lead you to inflammation, lead you to cancer, okay? Brain issues and all types of stuff, okay? You want to avoid seed oils like the plague. You want to eat lots of animal fats, okay? Butter. The fat that's in eggs and beef, the arachidonic acid, critical, so important. The omega-3 fats, which is in the cold water fish and pasture-raised egg yolks, right? Super important for your gut health and your skin health. And if you think about it, there are many women in cultures where women would put egg yolks, make masks with eggs and put eggs on their face, right? Or I did a video about why raw milk is good for your skin. It's good for your skin ingesting it, but also using it on your skin. Like you've heard of baths of milk and honey, I think. I do scrubs where a lot of times I'll take soured cream. I get heavy cream that I use all the time, raw heavy cream. After about 10 days, it might start to sour, which makes it more medicinal. Okay, I'm talking about raw milk and raw cream, not pasteurized milk and pasteurized cream. Pasteurized, homogenized dairy is something totally different. And I have several videos where I explain that. So if you want more of that information, check for my videos where I explain that. You can find them on my Instagram or my YouTube, The Body Scientist 81. I'll try to post some below. But raw milk is a superfood. And so what I do is I take the cream and maybe some coarse salt or sugar, a little bit of honey, sometimes some coconut oil, but not always. And I scrub my skin with that. And the amount of my skin's already soft. But the level of soft that it is once I'm done, and moisture, not just soft, but so moisturized. Like, water dries your skin out. And so when I get out of the shower after doing that, my skin is not dry, it's moisturized, right? And we want to stop transdermal water loss. That's the whole purpose of moisturizing your skin. It prevents transdermal water loss, which, creates dry skin that is, skin that is susceptible to all kinds of injury and issues, okay? If you want it, also when it comes to aging, you want to moisturize your skin because it helps with collagen production, okay? And you want to protect your skin. You don't want to shield your skin from the sun, okay? Because the sun's really important. Now, people who are non-melanated have to take extra caution, but you don't want to use sunscreen. I don't care if you are pale Irish or the darkest person from Sudan. Nobody needs to be using sunscreen of any complexion. Sunscreen is poison. I've done videos about that as well. Sunscreen is full of toxic chemicals that are going into your system. It's blocking the UVB rays, letting the UV rays go deeper. And people have been living on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years with no sunscreen. It's just that if you're from Ireland, you can't take the sun in Jamaica, okay? After about 5 minutes, you might burn because you are not meant for that. Once people burn, okay, that is genetic damage that is happening on a DNA level. So you do not want to get sunburned. Okay, but getting sun and increasing melanin production is good. But when you start to burn, that's no bueno. Okay, the sunlight is super important for your skin, for the infrared lights. Okay, the infrared light that you get from the sun. I just did a video called Sun Medicine, like last week. You can check that out. And there's so much more I have to say about that than I even put in that video. But the infrared light is really, really important for your skin. And you get that anytime you're in the sun, but you have to be in the sun, not through a glass. And infrared light you can get whether or not your actual skin is exposed. It can go through your clothes. The UVB light is what you need to make vitamin D. Vitamin D is super important for your skin and your immune system. And remember, your skin is a part of your immune system, right? But you cannot make vitamin D from like November to the end of March if you live north of Atlanta, okay? So, and I'm gonna do a video about vitamin D in the winter, but during those times you get it from your diet. Consuming cod liver oil is one of the best ways. Or you could take a flight to the Caribbean. If you have the ability to take a flight to the Caribbean or to South America or, to Florida or something in the winter, and you can get outside, then you can do that. But otherwise, you're going to have to get it from food, right? Vitamin D and vitamin A, which both work together. Both are critical for healthy skin. And they need to be in your diet, but also using it topically because dermatologists are always recommending retinol cream. What is retinol? Retinol is vitamin A, true vitamin A, not beta carotene. That's not vitamin A. Retinol is true vitamin A, and it's really important for keeping your skin healthy, helping the skin cells, they're differentiating, having an even skin tone, all of that, okay? So it's really, and then another thing too that's really good for the skin is clays, okay? If you do clay mask, and you can do a clay mask all over your entire body, the clays, the ancient clays, it could be what is that? Not hematite clay. What is that called? I forgot the name of it. But it's like a gray clay, and then there's red clays. But those clays pull toxins out of your system. Pull toxins out. So if I had skin irritation and skin issues, if I had acne, psoriasis, eczema, just weird bumps in my skin, I would stop wearing makeup. Okay, like unless you absolutely have to. Like sometimes, somebody's a performer, you're a showgirl, you got to put makeup on. Okay, put it on for as little bit as possible and take that shit off, and definitely put mask on to pull it out on a regular basis, right? But I would avoid the makeup as much as possible because it's just irritating even more. And I would start consuming cod liver oil. I would consume a good fatty diet with animal fats, like grass-fed beef, eggs, stuff like that, so I could get the arachidonic acid. Also, the EPA and DHA fats that I talked about, not only are they in cold water fish, but they're also in the cod liver oil. So if you take cod liver oil, you're going to get, not fish oil. Fish oil is poison. Not fish oil, cod liver oil. Cod liver oil has those EPA and DHA fats along with vitamin A and D. And of course, you need vitamin K. You get that from eating a lot of grass-fed butter and hard cheeses. Vitamins A, D, and K work together. And the way that you can never forget the fat-soluble vitamins is the last 4 letters of my name. Vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin D, and vitamin A. Keda, okay? Usually people say vitamin A, D, E, and K. That's my name spelled backwards. I mean Keda, right? Keda, K-E-D-A, A-D-E-K. Those are the fat-soluble vitamins, so you never should forget them. And those vitamins are considered the activators. Those are the vitamins that are responsible for growth. And that's why these kids now, a lot of them are so unhealthy and so little and frail, and they're not being given enough animal fats. People aren't giving whole milk anymore. People are afraid of cheese. People are, don't want to have butter. They want to have substitute this and oat milk and stuff. And you're just raising weak, sickly young people. Okay, that's not it. But when I see a lot of people who are like teenagers or even in their early 20s, their skin looks terrible. Okay, if your skin looks terrible, it is coming from the inside. It starts with your gut. What are you eating? that person's probably eating processed foods. Processed foods are high in the seed oils that I told you about that are highly inflammatory, that will destroy your skin, your gut, and your health. And seed oil, also processed foods are high in sugar and other irritants, okay? So you don't want leaky gut and you don't want leaky skin. Part of, using the ceramides, cholesterol, the arachidonic acid, that also creates a strong skin barrier. So things aren't leaking in and out of your body. So if you're exposed to something, it can't just come into your body. Your microbiome, your hitters on your skin, your good bacteria, all of it is ready to say no. The barrier is strong, and the microbiome, the organisms on top of it, are secreting things that will kill infectious organisms. And then the sun also helps to strengthen our microbiome on our skin, along with the infrared light, along with the UVB rays, okay? And I'm sure the UVA rays have benefits too, well, as well. So the sun gives us this full spectrum that we do not get from inside lights. You don't get it from it coming through your window. And most people in America be in their cars too much. You need to get outside, okay? I've always been obsessed with the sun, always, okay? And I've always known that it was good for us, but the stuff that I've been learning about the sun over the past couple of weeks, I'm obsessed. I'm like a real nerd. People don't understand. I barely watch TV. I'm always I have so many books, that I'm always studying. Even right here in front of me, I got this book in front of me. I got this book. This is a doctor I want to interview. Cannabis Handbook, right? Cannabis Medicine Handbook. Got this book about the brain's way of healing. This book is freaking amazing, okay? These are just books in my face right now. This book on tobacco, right? See, tobacco is medicine. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's just poison. I did a video about that. Got this book sitting right here about how vaccinations wreck your immune system, right? And this is a thin book. I got 500-page books on that. This book, which is a great book I've been reading for years, Woman Who Glows in the Dark. El Curandero reveals traditional Aztec secrets of physical and spiritual health. This is written by an RN, forward by a PhD, okay? I think she's a nurse. But this book I read years ago, and this book is so important, helped me understand so much, and I want to talk about that tomorrow, about depression and mental health. There's so much I want to say about that I don't think people really get into. I have a friend that passed away recently, and every time I talk about it, I start crying. I'm not going to cry, but he was deeply depressed, and there were things that I would tell him to do. He never did any of it. He was just stuck. And sometimes people can be so stuck in depression, they just, so I'm going to do a video about that, but this book was really helpful to me in understanding that and what trauma can do to you, right? Another book I have right by me, The Runner's High, which is talking about how, when people are running and exercising and they talk about endorphins, it's not endorphins, it's endocannabinoids that our body produces that creates that runner's high, okay? That's what that book is talking about. This great book, The Cannabis Health Index. So there's so many, I'm always researching and reading, okay? I grew up around books. I'm a researcher. If I had more time, I would read more, okay? That's really what I would be doing. And if somebody wanted to get me gifts, you can get me books. You can get me books. You can get me gift certificates for books. I like to read and learn, and the truth be in the books, right? And I've spent years being quiet and researching, and a lot of why I make these videos is to try to educate the average person who does not have the time to do all the research that I do. And you're hearing so much confusing stuff, and so many people are giving you pieces of the puzzle, and I try to take it into layman's terms to people, okay? And you can always do more research. But, so just to wrap up this whole healthy skin, it starts in your gut, okay? It starts with, not consuming all this sugar and carbohydrates, okay? And carbohydrates are fruits and vegetables. Carbohydrates are rice and potatoes, okay? If you are going to consume carbohydrates, you want to consume a lot of fat and protein. So, I don't eat pasta that much, but last night I made some shrimp scampi. But the shrimp scampi I make, okay, I use tons of butter. I put cream in my shrimp scampi, okay? I put heavy cream, butter, then you got the garlic, you got the white wine. But all the sauce that I make is so buttery and creamy that it's a lot of fat. And I try to use a little bit of pasta, not a lot, right? So that protein and fat can counteract the carbohydrates. And if most people have some level of insulin resistance, but exercising, especially strength training before or after that, can also help with the blood sugar, right? So, but I always consume it with fat and protein. If you must eat cookies, okay, you have kids and they're going to eat a cookie, give it to them with milk, especially if you can get raw milk, okay? And I have several videos talking about raw milk because that fat and protein counteracts that. Just understand carbohydrates are poison, okay? So you want to eat very little as possible. But somebody said, do you have natural remedy products? My son has eczema. So yeah, I do have products that I make for the skin that do help with eczema. Anything that I make helps with eczema. I have one mixture that has shea butter, cocoa butter. It's called triple butter. Cocoa butter, shea butter, ghee, palm oil, castor oil, and lanolin. I have another one that is cocoa butter, tallow, lard, ghee, lanolin, and castor oil. That one is called Sancocha. And then I have another one that is shea butter, coconut oil, tallow, castor oil, and lanolin. And all three of those will help with eczema. So you can definitely message me if you want to try any of those. But you don't want to put Vaseline on your skin. Vaseline is straight poison. Don't you ever. Vaseline and baby oil, okay? Those are two things that are poison. And when I tell you poison, I'm saying cancer-causing poison. Do not use baby oil, okay? Back in the day when I used to do a lot of photo shoots, I never, like photographers want to give you baby oil or Pam or something to make you look shiny. I'm like, I brought my thing of coconut oil. And coconut oil may not have been shiny enough for them sometimes, but oh well, I'm not poisoning myself, okay? Putting that crap on my skin. I remember back in the day getting airbrushed when they were airbrushing the girls 20 years ago for shows. And I remember this dude was airbrushing me in like a basement apartment. I almost fainted because that stuff is toxic. And I remember how it made my skin burn and itch because that stuff is toxic. It shouldn't be on your skin. Same thing with tattoos. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when you tattoo yourself, you are putting permanent poison into your body that your body over years is trying to clear. And the sun is very detoxifying and breaks a lot of crap up, which is why people who have tattoos can't go in the sun like that. It makes their tattoos fade. And really, it's increasing the toxic load in your body because those toxins are becoming. But that's what happens when people get their tattoos removed. They're using laser light to break that down, okay? But it's just it's poison. It's heavy metal poison. And so again, your skin is a part of your immune system. So I'm not going to inject poison into my immune system. Embed it in there, right? And someone says, but if it starts in the gut, can you cure it? Yes, I can do. I have worked with many people with skin issues and various health issues, okay? There's nothing that's going on with a person where I cannot help them. And that could be physical. You could have a bad back, bad knees, totally messed up hips and you can't walk. It doesn't matter. Like, no matter what is going on with a person, what you do physically and what you're consuming completely matters. And I can work with anybody of any age. It just takes an evaluation. And if you're the parent, I can do the evaluation through you even. So you can, if you send me a message to my inbox and I'll send you the information. So yes, because if your child has eczema or anybody has eczema, it's not just about what you're putting on your skin. What you're putting on your skin matters and it helps a lot. But again, it starts with the inside. And I can guarantee that somebody that has eczema, has psoriasis, has acne, or any other weird skin stuff going on, there's a gut issue. And so when it comes to healing the gut and understanding protocols and stuff like that, that's super important and I can help with that. Also, bone broth, okay? Every single culture in the world made bone broth, okay? So that means they took the bones of the animal, whether it be pig, like the Japanese make lots of pork broth. If you go to Japanese ramen places, that's all pork broth. Or it could be beef, or it could be chicken, right? All of those, or any other animal that people eat, right? People take the bones, venison broth, I just saw in a supermarket recently. They take the bones, you combine it with a little acid, you simmer it for a certain amount of hours, you get a gelatinous broth. So if you're making chicken broth, you want to throw the feet in there. You want to throw the neck in there because you really want that collagen. If you're making beef bone broth, you throw in the knees, the knuckles, and the joints because you really want collagen. Then you get this jelly collagen, which is what Jell-O was made of, right? gelatin. And that is super important for your gut. Super important for also healing the leaky gut. Super important for your gut and your skin. And when you heal your gut, it heals your skin. Okay, so it is what you're consuming inside and what you're putting on topically. It's not just one or the other. You got to attack it from the in and the out. Okay. So I mentioned the fats, the arachidonic acid. I mentioned not consuming sugars like that. I mentioned using clays. I mentioned doing scrubs with, you can use like sour cream, yogurt. If you don't have, I use raw cream. I use raw sour cream a lot of times with some coarse sugar or coarse salt with a little bit of honey. Okay, because honey is also really good for your skin. I mean, I don't just smear it on, but I use it in my scrubs. So doing stuff like that is also really good for the skin. Getting sunlight, and of course, if depending on how dark you are, if you're paler, you need to be careful in the midday sun in hot places. Okay, if you live north of Atlanta, you cannot get UVB vitamin D from the sun from November to the end of March, but you can get infrared lights, which is really, really important as well for many things, including your mitochondrial health, which also plays a role in detoxifying the body. Okay, you message me, cool, that's great. I will hit you back. Vitamins A and D in the diet and topically play a role with the skin. Avoiding sunscreen and not putting too many irritants on it. Okay. I think I said all that I need to say. I'm like, is there anything else? And the right kinds of fats. You want to avoid seed oils. The corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, all that's poison. You don't want to consume it. You do not want to ingest it. You do not want to cook with it. And you do not want it on your skin. Okay? No to all of those. All right? So, yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say. Every time I finish my video, I think of things that I meant to say or whatever, but I think I've said enough right now. You asked if Forgotten Home Apothecary 250 Remedies, is that a book I recommend? I don't know of that book, so I don't know. I'll try to look that book up and tell you. I don't know. But a book I do recommend is Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. Okay? Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. I highly recommend that. Another book I highly recommend, what is that book called? Hold on, I can't remember this book off the top of my head. Hold on a minute. Let me see something real quick. Oh, I think it's called, hold on. Ancestral, wait a minute. There's one book, hold on, by Catherine Shanahan. No, hold on. Catherine Shanahan. I forget the name of the book. Oh, Deep Nutrition. It's called Deep Nutrition, Why Your Genes Need Traditional Foods. Okay? Deep Nutrition. And it's written by a medical doctor named Catherine Shanahan. A doctor and her husband. Sorry, this driving me crazy. So yeah, those are two books I highly recommend. Deep Nutrition by Catherine Shanahan, ND, and Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. If you read nothing else, read those two books. But yeah, so I think I said what I need to say about secrets or foundation of beautiful skin. Starts with your gut, okay? You don't want a leaky gut, you don't want leaky skin, okay? Your gut and your skin are your immune system. First line of defense against all infectious organisms. You never know when you could be exposed to an infectious organism. You never know. It could be somebody sneezed in your vicinity, coughed in your vicinity, somebody spit on the ground and you walk by, somebody touched you. There's so many, food that you eat, the water that you drink, there's so many ways that we can get exposed to infectious disease. Whether or not you get infected with the infectious disease. It's not some inevitable thing just because you come in contact or you're exposed to it that you're going to get sick. No, it has everything to do with your microbiome and your innate immune system, which is why I don't do vaccines, because what happens? When you do a vaccine, it goes right past your skin, which is your innate immune system, your first line of defense. And it's important that it comes in contact with these things. It's also part of your immune system. We have two different immune systems. We have the innate and adaptive immune system. The adaptive immune system is what everybody hears about, which is antibodies, yada, 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 yada. But before that, there's a innate immune system. And when you bypass that and go right to the adaptive, it can cause autoimmune issues. And another thing, autoimmune diseases are on the rise. It's an epidemic. Cancer is an epidemic. Autoimmune diseases are an epidemic, okay? And so injecting something and going right past your innate, right into, and then vaccines are full of poison. So got heavy metals, which I told you, I'm not injecting no damn tattoos that are full of heavy metals and toxins. So it's just not good, okay? Yeah, you're in Florida, you have a lot of sun. That's good. But even people who, that's great. Florida is a great place for sun. But even in Florida, a lot of people don't go outside. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm in South Florida, nobody's ever outside. Everybody's inside the air conditioning all the time. Or they're in the car driving from one place to the next. So if you, and I don't know, with your son, I don't know how much he's outside, you know, if he plays sports outside or if he goes and walks outside. But being outside is important. Most people who live, like even in the Caribbean, they be having on mad clothes. Now, again, the infrared light goes through your clothes, but the UVB, which you need to make vitamin D, and everybody's vitamin D deficient. The UVB that you need to make vitamin D, you only get that in the middle of the day when the sun is the highest. So really between 12 noon and like 2 p.m., but that's just, but in Florida or even in like New York or Chicago in the summer, it could be from like 10:30 a.m. until like 3:30 that you might be. Florida is longer. Okay, that sun is beaming. But as the days become shorter, the time becomes less and less. Florida still has way more hours of UVB light than other parts of America. Okay, or if you live in Cartagena, Colombia, or in the Caribbean, okay, you're gonna get way more UVB light. You let him play in the backyard, that's good. He should do that as much as possible. For so many reasons, it's important for kids to play outside. So that's good, okay? And you should do it yourself. So that's good. So that's great. The sun is medicine, okay? But if you're not melanated, you need to be careful with it. And if you are melanated, the more sun you need, the more melanin you have. So people who are melanated and are living north of Atlanta, you really got to be conscious of that. And again, you can get vitamin D through your diet, but there's certain benefits from the sun that's more than just the vitamin D. So even with getting vitamin D from your diet, you still need to get that sun. It's super important, okay? Okay, so I think I've said everything I need to say. And I think that, you know, one day, I've never done a video about nail health. I need to do that one day because I swear people, you know, girls with these, the polish and the fake nails, that stuff ain't healthy neither. Okay, and it's making a lot of chicks' nails are weak and brittle and, you know, it's just not good. But anyhow, I've said what I need to say. Yes, I do make stuff for the skin. If it interests you, you can check out my page, Amazonia Holistica, or message me or whatever. If you learned something from this video, please like it, please share it. These videos are free. I don't get paid for them. Just sharing information. So, and I think I'm shadow banned everywhere. So you can like and share it if you learn something from this video. And I will be posting this on my YouTube channel. So be sure to follow me on YouTube and Instagram. Someone said, how was milk beneficial? I've done several videos about that. I'm not going to get super into it. But I'm talking about raw milk. Okay, let's be clear. I'm talking about grass-fed raw milk. Grass-fed raw milk is a superfood, okay? That is so good for everything. Every freaking thing. And I've been talking about raw milk for like, I've been making YouTube videos about raw milk since like 2012, okay? So I've been drinking raw milk. And all my clients, I've been working with people for 20 years. And I know so many people who drink raw milk because of my recommendations, they all love it. It has changed their life, changed the health of their kids, and they swear by it. Okay. And that's what's one of the reasons why I ain't leaving America. There's many reasons, but it's really hard to get raw milk in other countries, except maybe a few European countries. But it's much easier to get it here. And that's a huge part of my life. I need my raw milk, my raw cream, my raw butter. Raw butter is a superfood that's high in vitamin K, X factor, which is also a growth stimulator. And again, growth activator. And again, with kids, children and kids are in their developmental stages. Nutrition is super important during that time. People don't understand that your genes are turned on and off by nutrients. So your genes you can have the genes that say that you are going to be 6'4". But if you weren't nourished properly while you were growing, you might only be 5'6". You don't reach your full genetic potential because you didn't have the right nutrition. And it starts with animal foods with activators, growth activators. And those are what? The K vitamins, vitamin K, E, D, and A, all in animal foods. Vitamin E is the only one that you can find in plant food, but it might even be like, I need to look it up to be sure before I say the wrong thing, but it might even be like less varied because vitamin E is a generic term. There's many different kinds of vitamin E, many different kinds of vitamin D, all that stuff. But all of them can be found in the animal foods. Vitamin K2, D, and A cannot be found in plants. Okay. So if you want more information on raw milk, look through my videos on YouTube. I have several videos on Instagram. I'm always posting about it. But it's a superfood, okay? But yeah, so I'm going to let it go. I'm always available for individual consultations. Doesn't matter what's going on with you. People with serious medical issues to not. I've worked with people with all kinds of things going on. And when I do work with people, it's very educational. So I'm not just like telling you to do this, and that, but I'm going to educate you as to why I'm saying this so that you understand how to move forward in this world. No matter where you are, you know what to do. Okay? So I hope you guys are doing well, and share it if you want to. If you're on Instagram, please follow me on YouTube at The Body Scientist 81. And if you're on YouTube, please follow me on Instagram at _body_scientist. Okay? And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.